Alright, let's talk about it. Dragon's Dogma 2 made waves across the internet. And I want to preface this by saying that I will be referring to any form of monetization that offers something in-game as pay to win for the sake of simplicity. I understand some of you might say that I should call it pay for convenience, but in my eyes, it's the same thing, and I'll get into the why a bit later. Now here are the main issues people have with the game and why the reviews are so bad. Let's start with performance. As a VTuber and a content creator, I have an extra load on my computer, so I might be biased in saying this, but I think game releases are worse and worse and require more of your computer. And this is especially true for AAA games, and people are reaching a boiling point of tolerance. I can't say much on the topic myself because, again, I have a really good computer, but it is a valid reason to complain, and people shouldn't dismiss these reviews. Just because you can run the game fine doesn't mean the game doesn't have issues, or that people with different rigs can't experience something differently than you. And people should be allowed to refund if they're not satisfied with the quality, and also express their opinion on this. I don't know why this needs to be said, but apparently there are a lot of reviews that are talking about performance, and a lot of people just dismiss that. Price is a touchy subject. Personally, I come from a poor country, but I don't have regional pricing for my country. So yeah, it's expensive. I'm not gonna sit here and go, you should make it cheaper. However, I will point out that AAA games are trying to raise the price at $70, and it's probably gonna happen whether I like it or not. But they're trying to do that while also adding microtransactions and or battle passes. And that's corporate greed in my eyes. I'll give them a plus because they didn't ask $40 extra for a 3-day head start. But yeah, for the quality that they offered and the extra monetization, the price is outrageous. I can buy several other games for that price. Denuvo is a topic in itself. It's one of those that I can probably make a video on it, just on that topic. So I'm sorry if I'm not gonna cover everything in this, but for companies, generally speaking shareholders, not the devs themselves, Denuvo's an ethical choice that they need to make. And on one hand, the software guarantees that you're gonna have unpirated sales, but at the same time it provides consumers with a lesser experience due to the performance impact, the modding limitations, and potentially exposing their machines to security vulnerabilities. And on the other hand, companies could focus instead on making good games and pricing them fairly so that people don't want to pirate the games. Dare I say, use regional pricing or, localize your game. There are a lot of success stories out there. Lethal Company, Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring. That's just to name a few of them. Saves are probably one of their biggest contenders for I screwed up severely. Not having enough save slots and an ability to restart your campaign at any point is, in my opinion, a rather weird design choice. And while I don't feel it was intentionally designed this way due to the microtransactions, I can understand the perspective of a player whose first introduction to the series is this game. Without having played the first one, you can look at the microtransactions, you can look at the fact that they don't let you restart your campaign, and think, wow, that's manipulative. And that's valid. That's a valid way of thinking. It's okay to think that way. You don't need to do your homework on something. You don't need to have played another game to be able to have an opinion on this one or to be angry at it. And games are fickle. They're known for saving issues. Players are also known to save scum. A lot of people love save scumming. And it's an RPG. The design is flawed, and I really hope that they release a method for people soon to have more slots, more game slots, and also more save slots. Right now you have to use unconventional methods that might flag you with Denuvo. And I've seen people lose their saves. Some people don't know that if you load an in save, it overwrites your checkpoint save. Other issues, like where they got stuck and they lost hours of progression, saves, like due to the design of the game and the bugs that are stemming from it, are very severe and very frustrating, and people should be vocal about it. Like, it's okay to not want to play after you lost a save, and it's okay to leave a negative review, it's okay to refund, but it's also okay to wait and to give them a chance to fix things. And I don't agree with people threatening or attacking others personally, or going after the dev's throat or the community managers for, having a weekend and being human. I don't think that's okay behavior, but I also don't think it's okay to go after the people that are saying that, that are leaving a bad review because of their experiences. Only one character, it ties in the frustration of the saves and a tiny bit into microtransaction. I think by the fact that you only have one character that you cannot modify immediately upon entering a game is bad. Now hear me out, okay? You might like how a character looks in the character creator, and as soon as you start playing, it annoys you, or maybe you realize the voice you got is really annoying after a few attacks. And usually what happens in that case is you log out and remake the character, right? Well, in this game, you can't do that. And it's frustrating. Now, I hear you loud and clear. It's not a big deal, you can do it in the town. Yes, I'm aware, you're aware. But poor Ronnie, that just started playing their first RPG, doesn't know that. They don't know about Reddit, they don't know about Twitch, YouTube, X, they don't look up stuff on social media. And, they might call the game trash. They might leave a negative review and move on with their life because they couldn't delete the character and remake it. Or let's say Ronnie does know how to search stuff up and he finds out he has to go into town and he's not okay with that. It's perfectly valid for someone not to put up with a system because it's affecting their fun. Who are you to dictate what someone's fun is? I've seen a lot of people dismiss others and say oh, this is rage baiting. Oh, this is not true. They only have to spend an hour to get into town and then they have the item. It's not that big of a deal. To you, it's not a big deal, but it is to them. It's I understand that you love the game. People are also allowed to be critical of it. And in my opinion, it's valid to feel in a way about only having one character and not resonating with them, or realizing you made a mistake and the game not letting you fix that mistake immediately. It's frustrating design. And, now hear me out, okay? Let's say he does find out that you go into town and he says, okay, fine, I will spend the time to go into town. Now, the gameplay changes from, I'm just having fun, exploring, paying attention to details, blah, blah, blah. It changes to, I must reach town, I must beeline to town to change appearance so I can enjoy myself. It takes away from the fun, it takes away from the focus, and it sucks, honestly. It might take Ronnie 10 hours to reach the town. I don't know, maybe they're really bad, or they pick up everything, they're a loot goblin. If they're aware of how to do something, it might take them 30 minutes. If they're not, it might take them a bit longer, right? That's irrelevant. The point is it changes stuff. And let's say they see the monetization instead and they pay the money. They fall prey to a system that was designed to take advantage of people's lack of knowledge. And that leads me to microtransactions. The presence of microtransactions in a video game will always raise the question of how much of the game was altered to drive sales? That's a given. Anytime you see a microtransaction, your first thought shouldn't be, is it mandatory? It should be, how manipulative is it? And for those of you thinking, it doesn't affect me, why should I care? Just don't buy it. Well, congrats, you're part of the problem and why we're here in the first place. You unwittingly promote preying on others and you're okay with exploitation, as long as it's not of you. Companies are not your friends. Especially in single-player games, the money earned in those sales, they don't go to the devs, they don't go to make a better game. No, they go to line someone's pocket. And it's wishful thinking to just excuse it and sweep it under the rug. Like, for me, I personally want to know that the devs spend all their time making a great game and not a marketable game. Don't get me wrong, like, do I think microtransactions in Dragon's Dogma 2 are mandatory? No, I think they're completely optional. But they are there, and that means somewhere there's a need for them and a reason to be purchased. It might not be obvious, it might not be immediately something that you can see, but if there was no reason for it to be there, they wouldn't be doing it, and you wouldn't be seeing it being put in every new game. Like, optional does not mean harmless. A comment said that the DLCs are the stupid tax, that you're preying on stupidity and lack of knowledge. I don't think tricking people, taking advantage of them is a good marketing tactic, personally. And saying that you're fine with stupid people paying for it, well, I feel like that's just gonna end up biting you in the ass eventually. And it raises the question of, if there is no reason to buy the DLC, why are you opposed to having it removed? I'd rather not have the option at all, personally. Now, I want to go over a few things I've seen discussed that I wanted to address as well, but first, I will share my opinion on microtransactions. I am against them, in case that wasn't obvious. I still remember buying video games with all the content available to me, without being timed, without it being locked against the pass. I remember cheat codes being free. I'll never be in favor of microtransactions of any sorts, be it a multiplayer or single player. Like, I will never be in favor of something designed to make someone feel good by spending money, and to make someone else feel bad for not spending that money. And as I said earlier, the presence of MTX changes the design, in some cases more, in others less. Pay for convenience is still pay to win. Just because you have, if you have less of a headache dealing with stuff, that's a win. If you spend less time on something, that can be a win depending on how you view it. The presence of convenience means that by design, there is inconvenience. So, creating a problem to sell a solution is a tactic that exists and has been used in video games. Not buying the solution still leaves you with the problem. Like, why the outrage now? What about Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry? Well, I don't know if you ever stop to consider that not everyone plays every game out there. Not everyone keeps up to date with the industry. Not everyone is a Capcom fan. Someone might just have picked up this game as their first video game ever. You know, just saying. If you're a person whose defense against microtransactions is to point the finger at another game and say, they're doing it, so it's fine, you're defending bad practices. Just because someone else is doing the same or worse doesn't mean we should accept it. It doesn't mean we shouldn't comment on it. Like, I played Monster Hunter World in early 2019. It had no DLCs. I don't even know about the DLCs because I haven't played that game in quite a few years, as I just said. Like, I didn't know about the latest Yakuza either until someone brought it up. Like, and I'm a content creator. Things do slip under the cracks. Things don't always become viral. Some things might, some genres might not interest you, so therefore you don't know anything about it. Just because they are doing something in other games doesn't excuse anything. Like, what do you want me to do about those games now? Why are you bringing it up? Why are you deflecting the situation? Like, what am I supposed to do? Do you want me to go rage at them? Do you want me to not say anything because I didn't say anything a few years ago? It's the same equivalent of people excusing Starfield for being a buggy freaking mess just because it's a Bethesda game. It's not fine. Like, defending bad practices because they're a common problem is never good in my opinion. And I would love it if people would stop deflecting from issues by raising them "it's worse elsewhere" flag. Like, stop deflecting, please. It is never too late to grow as a person and make a stand against predatory practices. Like, if society taught me anything in history, it's that we as a collective have faced much worse in the past and we overcame it every time. If anything, standing up to corporate greed should be easier, right? Acceptance is not a solution. It's a pretty big pet peeve of mine to see people giving up and saying the boat sailed. It has not, and it never will. Don't give up just because you didn't win a skirmish in the past. A game doesn't need microtransactions to be able to generate revenue. At least not single-player games. You have ample examples from recent releases. Like, I understand there's fear. I understand that you don't want your favorite IP cancelled because of poor sales. I understand that there are people that believe that if you don't support a game, the studio is in trouble. I get it. There are people that care more about just having fun. They care about the people behind the scenes. They care about the people that make the game. They care about the IP, the universe, and they want to support that. And I get it. A lot of people liked Dragon's Dogma 1. But people disliking the game and what's happening right now is not an attack on you. Like, I'm of the opinion that if you're having fun with Dragon's Dogma 2 right now, then you shouldn't feel bad for it. If you are fine with all of the things from above, or some of them, like, what you can do as an individual is vote with your wallet. If you don't like Denuvo, don't buy the game. If you don't like microtransactions, don't buy the game. If you don't like the price change, don't buy the game. Like, that's the only thing you can do as an individual. You can raise awareness and you can decide not to support it. I don't think like people should harass each other for liking or disliking the game. Like, I don't approve of microtransactions. In a lot of cases, I don't purchase games because of how their system is, or I tell people that it's extremely predatory. Like, not buying stuff is the only solution to it. Because saying buy the base game, just don't buy the microtransactions, that doesn't solve anything. You're still giving a predatory system a platform. You're still showing them that they can get away with it. You're still showing them that it's fine, and you might not purchase it. Other people will. And this is not about just one game, honestly. It's not just about Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma just happened to be the one that got this shitstorm, especially because of its performance issues. So a lot of people feel like complain because they don't have anything else to do. They're frustrated because they can't play. But like, it's a pattern and behavior. A lot more people are noticing it and getting sick of it. Like, we reached a point where in 2023, you were given amazing games with little to no pay to win, made with love, and after eating well, right, you're served with something that looks amazing, but it has a funny aftertaste. And the journalists, they knew about microtransactions, and yet they chose not to comment or alert anyone, because in their eyes, it's harmless. But most people who pre-purchased didn't know about it. Like, many people, myself included, felt disappointed to discover that. Is it a deal breaker? Well, I think that's up to everyone to decide for themselves. I hope my rant here made some sense, gave a bit of clarity on the outrage and my opinions on it. Anyway, I don't generally make these type of videos, so I sincerely hope you enjoyed it and you can have a civil conversation about games and what's happening in the industry. And yeah, if you have the game, just have fun with it. If you didn't buy the game, feel free to wait for a sale. Like, you know, end of the day, meh, who am I to decide what you do with your life and money? So yeah, thank you for listening. Bye bye.